friends, how have you guys all been? Today is Friday, October 21st, and I am back for my stitching update. It's been the usual 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you guys have all been well. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. My name is Olivia, and this is Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. This is a video podcast where I typically share my cross-stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not something you're interested in seeing or hearing about, I show it a little bit later on in the video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So how have you guys all been? I had to pause just for a few minutes because my grandma came by. There was a quilt that she hand embroidered. It's a Noah's Ark quilt, and I quilted it for her, gave it back to her, and then yesterday when I saw her at the book sale, she asked me if I wanted it because she didn't know what she would do with it or where she would put it or who she would give it to, and so she thought, you know, if she gave it to me, she'd be able to come by and visit it, and so of course I said yes. Who wouldn't want a quilt from their grandma? So anyway, she dropped by to drop it off, so I talked to her briefly, and of course she got to see the disaster that making these videos causes. So last time I did my video, I had a bit of a head cold, which I was really irritated that I had got another one. So I went ahead, I filmed the video, and everything I thought had went really well. I should have known better because when it uploaded and did, you know, because usually I film these videos in like little segments and then I send them off to my Google Drive. And I have to wait for a while for everything to like upload so I can go in and grab it and start editing it and then put it together into a video. And it went really fast. I thought, this is great, you know, the fates are with me because I definitely did not feel very good, and you know, the thought of waiting hours to edit the video and do everything just was not something I was looking forward to. And I should have known when everything went as well as it did that there was some reason why it was going so well, and that is during the giveaway portion of the video. So basically what I did is I did the giveaway, but I failed to show what the actual giveaway prizes were. And I didn't even catch it when I was editing it. And it wasn't until I had gotten some emails from people watching saying I never did actually see what the giveaway prizes were. So I went to that part of the video and I realized it was missing. And I actually don't even remember filming it. I remember marking the prizes, but I don't actually remember showing them. So I do apologize. I am 100% blaming the head cold. And all I can hope is in the future, if something like that happens again, hopefully I will, you know, be on top of it. But I did not catch it. Otherwise, I would have filmed it, and I felt awful. And I do realize that a lot of you guys don't watch me for the giveaways. And quite honestly, I don't know how much longer I'll be able to continue to do them. I do enjoy doing giveaways. I like to be able to, you know, share as much as I can. So, yes, I'm very sorry. I do plan on redoing the giveaway today. I am going to ask a different question just so I don't get the two videos mixed up. Again, I do apologize. But anyway, that was the big snafu from my last video. And again, I do apologize. I was mortally embarrassed when I discovered it was missing. And there was literally nothing I could do. I couldn't, you know, the video was already up on YouTube. I would have had to have pulled it down, deleted it, gone back, filmed it, inserted it, and then kind of edited things and then uploaded it, you know, and I didn't want to do that. So everywhere I could think of letting you guys know that I had forgotten that, I tried to let everybody know. And again, I do apologize, but those prizes will be in today's video. Today, I think I'm going to go ahead and jump in and start talking about everything. I have new finishes, past finishes, progress, all sorts of stuff to talk about in today's video. Before I do, I've had some questions, both cross-stitching and quilting questions, and I wanted to just go ahead and do them really quickly right now. The first question is about the quilt that is hanging up behind me. It is called Hocus Pocusville by Crabapple Hill Studio. It is available in her website. I don't know if it's a PDF download, but I definitely know mine was a paper chart, and I'm assuming based on the size of all of the houses, it most likely would be a paper chart, but it is available on her website. Speaking of Hocus Pocusville, this is actually the last you will see of it until next year. When I do my video next, it will be November. And so I do decorate for Thanksgiving. So there will be a pumpkin quilt hanging up behind me. I will miss having this quilt hanging up. I absolutely love it. I will actually miss the whole display because I love Halloween. I love decorating for it. I look forward to it every year, and I am very sad when it is time to say goodbye to it. But I do enjoy decorating for Thanksgiving, so there will be pumpkins and turkeys and pilgrims, and I do enjoy it. It's also my birthday month, so of course, you know, I love November, not just because it's my birthday, but I mean, because it's still autumn, the leaves are going to be changing. We actually finally today got our autumn weather. It's been summer, so like last weekend it was 90 degrees. It was crazy for October. So I am looking forward to November's arrival and bringing some of those autumn temps and landscapes that I absolutely love. But I will miss this display behind me. I know a lot of you guys will as well. But next year it'll be back. The next question is, how do I get my linen so wrinkle-free? So I do iron everything before I photograph it. What I do is I put a towel down on my ironing board, and I will set my iron on the steam setting, and I will just iron it. Next question is, how do I hang my quilts? So I have a lot of different ways that I hang and display the quilts. I have a quilt ladder that is in this room. I also have another one out in the other room. The one in this room was made by my brother, and the one in the other room was from Hobby Lobby, and I do believe you can still get them. When I was there last time, I remember seeing some. Then across the room, I have a wooden quilt hanger that my sister-in-law gave me for Christmas a couple of years ago. So that one usually has some smaller wall hangings. And then this one behind me is hung up with a curtain rod that I bought from Walmart. Gosh, I think when we moved here. Then I also have out in the other room, I have something called a quilt crane. And that allows me to hang a quilt up folded. And in my bedroom, I made a quilt hanger. So it's a shelf, and then it has, is it corbels? And there's a dowel that runs underneath the shelf, and then I hang a quilt from that. So I have various ways that I display them. I also will display them over the furniture, the couch, the chairs in the other room, just kind of wherever I can display a quilt is where I put it. Next, I've actually got this question a couple of times over the past couple of weeks, and I'm sorry that I have not responded to those, but it's in regards to this pumpkin right here. And will I ever do a demo showing how I made the pumpkin? Right now, I do not have any plans to do that kind of a video. However, if you are having any trouble with it or you're not sure where to start, please feel free to send me an email, and my contact information is in the description box. Next question is, will I do a stitching tutorial showing how I stitch two-handed or showing how I stitch on linen? So I have been thinking about doing different tutorials that I get asked to do. I don't have any plans on doing it in the fall or as we get closer to Christmas, but there are things I've been thinking about doing maybe over the winter. So I can definitely show how I stitch two-handed, and I also can show how I stitch on linen. It's not going to be anything glamorous. I don't have a fantastic setup or anything like that, but I definitely can show how I do that if you're curious. And my last question is, how will I quilt my Scrappy Stars quilt? So I showed the quilt top finish in my last video. It is still not quilted. I have about 3 client quilts left to go, and then I will start working on my own quilts. I have no idea how I am going to quilt it yet. Usually when it comes to my own stuff, I don't really know until I get closer, and then usually the quilt will tell me what it wants me to do. All right, so my rotation. I did change it up a little bit. I think in my last video I talked about I was going to be working back again on Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain since I had finished Autumn at Hawkhorn Hollow. I did not get a chance to work on it because I had started Elizabeth Furniss, which I showed, I think I showed her in my last video. And we were starting it for Yvette's birthday, which was this past Friday. And I think it was earlier in the week, got to talking to Yvette, and she had mentioned something about doing a page finish a month because her book only had 12 pages in it. So I went and I looked at mine because I thought, well, mine's got a lot of pages in it. So I did a flip through and I discovered that my book has 20 pages. So I let her know that. And so we went back and forth, and she helped me figure out where her page one began and ended, so that way I could basically work towards the same goal of possibly finishing Elizabeth Furniss next year by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I feel like I completely, like, I've probably confused a lot of you. I apologize. But my booklet and Yvette's booklet, she bought hers, I think, directly from Hands Across the Sea right after it released. And I just recently bought mine at the beginning of the year. So there's definitely been a difference between then and now. So she's going to help me figure out where the page breaks are so that way I can possibly finish it in a year as well. But I'm not going to hold myself to that, especially when I get like in this area here. Right now, very doable. But yeah, once you get down in here, I think it's going to take me a lot longer. So I did start it on Friday. So I'm stitching it with Yvette, and I'm also stitching it with Christy Crosshatch Quilts and Becky Socks for Mom. So we all started it on Friday. And here is my progress. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Bee's Knees by Seraphim Fabrics. Absolutely love this fabric. Want to get some more. And I am stitching it with the DMC that is listed in the chart. And I'm stitching it 1 over 2. And I love it, love it, love it. So because I am doing Yvette's going by Yvette's page, so she told me where the different breaks were. So I'm following what her booklet would say to her. I think my booklet cuts off like somewhere like here and here. So it has like a little bit of the words and I think the basket. So hers definitely drops down quite a bit more. It gets you in here where you're working on the flower. There's an angel here. I think I have to do a couple more of the little flowers in the border this way, and then start the verse. So I don't have a whole lot to do, but there's still a little bit of stitching left. So once I finish her page finish, based on her page finish, then I will move on to Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. So I love working on this one. It is so absolutely beautiful. The colors are gorgeous. It's just vibrant. I love it. And I can't wait to someday have it finished. I am going to stitch it in memory of my paternal great-grandparents. So it's my dad's parents. And I don't know if you can see it in here. There is this area right in here, and I need to try to squeeze their names in here. So I'm thinking I'm going to put their, so my grandfather's name is William Frederick Leimbach. So I think I'm going to do W.F. Leimbach Sr. And then my great-grandma's name is Mary Etta Roderick. So I'm going to do M.E. Roderick. And I'm hoping it's all going to fit. It should. But I think that's what I'm going to do, or try to do. And then right here, I will put the date of their marriage, which, based on the census, based on the information on my great-grandmother's obituary, it was 1914, and she was 17 when she got married. So need to try to make all that fit. So before I start working on this border right here, I need to make sure I can fit it here. Because the other option is to elongate this So make it bigger so I can fit their names and then put some other verse on either side, or eliminate the verse altogether and put my grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother's name, their information, and then something else here in the middle. So I need to decide that this weekend while I'm still working on it, because, you know, that'll be something that I'll have to change. And before I forget, here is the DMC. A lot of beautiful colors. I don't think I showed these last time because I did not have them on their floss cards. So gorgeous, gorgeous color palette. I did have a new start. It is by the Scarlett House and it's called Pumpkins and Bittersweet. Love this little one. Love it. Can't wait to get it done. And here is my progress. So not a ton of progress. I just have been working on this in the morning. I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Dusty Road with some of the called for threads and 2 that I did substitute. So once I get that done, I will be able to let you know what it is that I used. I basically stuck with, I looked at the color of what the thread was and I kind of tried to match it. So it will still look really similar to what the called for. It might just be a little lighter or darker. So 40 count Dusty Road by Seraphim, and I'm stitching it 1/2. Hopefully I can get it done really soon. And I kind of thought about when I did finish working on Elizabeth Furniss, working on that so I could get it done. Because I'm anxious, you know, once I change out all of my Halloween for my autumn, I definitely will have some vacancies in the trench bowl, and I thought I need to get this done so I can get it in there. And then I continued working on Harvest I Grow by Home Spun Prims by Lori. And I worked on this for, I believe, 5, maybe 6 days, because I worked on this before I started working on Elizabeth. And I think it was in my rotation for 5 days and I went 1 extra. But this is how far I got. I love working on this one. I love the colors so much. The linen that I'm using, let me look it up, because it is 36 count antique cotton by R&R Reproductions, and I am using some of the called for and some that I did substitute, and I'm stitching it 1/2. So I hope to also get this one done in November. I'm going to push really hard to get it done because I would like to see it hanging around Thanksgiving. I think that would be really awesome. If it doesn't happen, it's okay, but I hope so. So I love it. I just love all of the colors. I think it's just such a beautiful sampler. I really love it. And of course, pumpkin anything makes me happy. So I hope my video doesn't come across as being rushed, but I'm really excited to show you my 4 brand new finishes. If you follow me on Instagram or my Facebook page, I know you guys have already seen them, but I'm just like giddy to show you my finishes. So last week I had my husband cut down some thrift store frames. We did go to the Goodwill. I found a couple frames at the Goodwill, but I believe these are all from the thrift store that is down the street, which the prices of the thrift store frames, it was like they were giving them away. The big one that I got for Autumn Hawk Hollow, it was like $2.99, and it was a big, I mean, I had to get a big frame, and I could not believe it, because at the Goodwill it would easily be, you know, $10 to $15. I mean, the Goodwill definitely has raised their prices quite a lot. So I think from now on, whenever I am looking for frames, I will definitely try the thrift store. They were also in fantastic condition. There was no dings, no burrs, no nothing. They were like they had just come out of somebody's house and they had placed them on the wall. So I definitely will be going there to look for frames quite a bit. The first one, and I want to make sure I get the name right because I have been missaying it this entire time, and it is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed. I think I call it Thankful, Grateful, Blessed, but it is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed by With Thy Needle and Thread. And here it is. So the frame was quite a bit bigger. This was one of the ones that my husband cut down, But the moment I saw it at the store, I knew it was going to be perfect for this particular piece. I know originally I wanted to get a much darker frame to kind of help the stitching that well, I definitely can't see it. In person, I can see it, but in the viewfinder, I cannot. But I wanted to get a darker frame because I had been told that that would help the stitches that are around the house stand up a lot better. So I sacrificed them because of the frame. I mean, I saw this frame. It looks like autumn. I just knew I had to have it for this one. And I think it really makes the house pop out. It makes the basket, it makes the moon, it just kind of pulls that out. So the story I'm going with is that this was hanging up in a dusty old attic, and it's been up there for 100 years. And I came across and I grabbed it because I had to have it, and the threads are faded from time and dust. But I love it. I love it so very much. It will hang somewhere next month. So right now it's just kind of propped up down here. But next month I will have it hanging up on the wall. And I love it. It was so much fun to work on. I really do love it. So I stitched it on a piece of 36 count legacy, and I used various threads, 1/2. I love that big giant nutmeg house. Love it. So I got that one done. And I worked on these over the weekend, and this is what the back looks like. I know it's not pretty. I buy these little things at Amazon. I'm not really sure. They're little doohickeys, and they just kind of hold everything in. Eventually, I would like to get some butcher paper that I can kind of put on and like finish them a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. But I figure they're going to go on a wall. Nobody's going to see them but me. And if anybody does pick them off the wall and flip them over and look at them and see the backing, I just don't need to be friends with them. Okay, next up is Old Tom Turkey by Tina Waltman. And I have been asked by a lot of you guys about where you can purchase the chart. And as far as I know, you can only find it on the secondary market. She used to have a Picture Trail shop, but then Picture Trail shut down. That's probably been about a couple of years ago now. And I heard through the grapevine that she was going to open up an Etsy shop. I have not heard anything since then. I do hope that she will, because I know what it feels like to see something, fall instantly in love with it, and then it's out of print. So hopefully she will at some point reopen a shop where we can buy her fabulous charts. So here's my finish. So the frame came from the Goodwill. I saw it there, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I knew I could not leave it behind. To me, it looks like autumn. These little things look like pumpkins. I don't think they are, but to me, that's what they look like. So I got Tom finished, and my original thought was to distress him with the antiquing spray and then, paint a frame. But I saw this frame in my box, and I thought, I'm just going to see if it fits, and it did. And as soon as I put it on him, I knew this was the frame for him. I was not going to distress it. I loved it just the way it was, because I wanted the frame to shine and I wanted Tom to shine right alongside it. So I stitched Tom Turkey on a piece of 28 count linen that had come from my stash. I'm not sure what the name of it was. I did stitch it with the called for DMC, and I stitched it 2/2. So this one, when I change all of the decor out, is going to go across the room on a shelf. Love it. Love it so very much. Okay, next is Midnight Watch by Blackbird Designs. So a lot of people have messaged me asking if I know if this chart is out of print, and I don't know. I went to go look on 123 Stitch, and it's sold out. And I remember when I was looking for it during this time of the year, when I did run across it for sale, it was always out of stock during the autumn season. And I think I eventually was able to locate a copy of it like in the spring. And that was a couple of years ago. But as far as I know, you can still get this. But then I don't really know. I'm not really up to date on what charts are, out of print or in print. But as far as I know, you should still be able to get this. And here's my fully finish. So I believe in my last video I did show this. I had gotten all the stitching done, and I wanted to get it done before Halloween rolled around. I wanted to be able to frame it and enjoy it. This will actually stay up through November, because even though it's got that beautiful black cat on there, it doesn't scream Halloween. It can be, but I believe it can kind of go for both. So I'm gonna leave it up. I love it. So this frame here, it was, there was like it was quite a bit bigger. It was the length, but I believe it was like 11 by 14. So it was the perfect length, but I needed it to be a smidge smaller. So it was, I do believe I got it from the Goodwill. It had some sort of a nursery, like a Winnie the Pooh or something in it. And I took it all out and had my husband cut it down for me. And then I did paint it black. I gave it a couple coats of black, and then I distressed it because it was a kind of like a creamy white frame. And so I painted it, and I knew when I distressed it, it would pull that sort of cream white color out, and it would, you know, kind of help the moon. Even though the moon doesn't need any help, but it would kind of like, you know, the colors would play well together. So I have this one out in the other room. I have a little easel, and that's where I have it. So I love it, love it. So this one I stitched on a piece of 36 count weathered shingle by R&R Reproductions. I stitched it with various threads because I did have to substitute out several. For instance, the house, the called for thread, I believe, was like toasted barley or something like that. And at the time of the chart's release, it was very much kind of like a grayish blue color, and it's not that anymore. It's definitely what you would think toasted barley would look like. So I substituted Weeks Tin Roof. And then there was a couple other things I substituted as well. So love it. So very glad to have that one finished too. All right, and my last brand new finish is Autumn at Hawkrun Hollow by Carrot Samplings. I am like giddy to show this one. Okay, so the frame, first of all, it was a huge frame that I purchased from the thrift store. It's solid oak, and so that presented some issues with attaching it. It definitely gave me some issues. In fact, I had to have Brian come out and kind of recut it a little bit because it just would not go together. It had staples in two of the corners that we tried to pull out, and the frame was really old, and those staples were embedded. Like I could not get them out. So he had to go in and kind of cut it a little bit more so that I could, you know, get the frame to go together. And once he did that and kind of cleaned up those two edges, it went together perfectly. And then painting it, it has like 3 coats of burnt umber paint. It's the acrylic paint by American Folk Art, I believe is what it's called. It had like 3 coats of paint on it, and then I was able to go in and distress it, and it definitely made me work for its finish. But here it is. So I don't know how well I'm going to be able to get it all in. I did post a picture of it on my Instagram and my Facebook. And even that, taking a picture of that was not easy. But here she is. I absolutely love her so very much. I cannot believe she is finished. It blows my mind. I have her hanging up in the other room. And it just makes me so happy when I walk into the room and I see it hanging there on the wall. I cannot believe it's there. I can't believe. I miss it. I mean, I like painfully miss it working on it, but I'm so very happy to have it finished. Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it so much. So, so beautiful. It makes me want to immediately go and start another one. But I know it would take forever for me to finish it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Love it, love it. Toad Allison is going to be buried with me, along with Hocus Pocusville. Okay, so brief pause. Husband came back from the grocery store, so everything is offloaded now and put away. So we're back. Autumn at Huckran Hollow. Let me give you the stats of it. So I stitched it on a piece of 40 count vintage country mocha. Primarily, I did stitch it with the DMC conversion that is listed on the chart. However, I did make a few changes. The first change I made was to this stream right here. I darkened it and I eliminated the fish. This house right here was supposed to be yellow and I stitched it the same color of teal. That are these birds right here. The corn in this block right here was all supposed to be like that confetti style corn. I just did it in two, and then these two I stitched it in sort of like those harvesty, dark, rusty crusty colors. And I think that's about it. I mean, other than just tweaking a few colors here and there. I think, for instance, this Saltbox house here, I did it a little bit more of a mustard color. But other than that, I kind of stayed true to what they called for was. Really enjoyed working on this piece, and I am really going to miss it. I wish there was a much better way to get it all in the camera, but I will post a picture of it at the end. And I did stitch it 1/2 before I forget. But I love it. If any of you guys are thinking of working on it, I mean, it is, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it will take you a little while to work on it, but it's absolutely spectacular when you get it all completed and you're looking at it. And I just, yeah, it's really fun. I enjoyed it. It was tough sometimes to keep going, but I wanted to have it done. So I'm very happy that I hit that goal. I was able to get it done before the end of the year. I was able to get it done before October, which is ultimately what I wanted. So I'm very, very pleased with it. The frame color. So I painted it with, and I think I might have mentioned this earlier on. It was Burnt Umber, and it was by American Folk Art paint. It's acrylic paint. But the inspiration from it came from Ginger Shawl. She posted a picture of hers, and I loved the color of her frame. I think her frame might be a little bit darker, and originally that was what I was going for. The color ended up not being quite as dark as I wanted, but once I got it done, I really loved it. It really helped all of the browns and everything just pop right out. So I was really pleased. It was kind of a happy mistake, but that is where I took the inspiration from, was from Ginger Shawl's framed of her Autumn at Huckran Hollow. All right, so let's talk about previous finishes. So I didn't get out everything. A lot of the stuff that I had finished prior, I did just go ahead and leave in the bins. What I've been doing is kind of swapping things out every year. So each year I'll have a few different things out and about, mainly because I don't have a whole lot of space to put everything out. So of course I'll have my favorite pieces, and then I will have some that maybe I didn't put out this year, I'll put out next year. One of my previous finishes, which I worked on this a little bit earlier, it was probably like late summer, early summer, midsummer, somewhere in there, is my Halloween at Huckran Hollow finish. I had the first 2 blocks done, and it was just something that I knew I was not going to, I wasn't ever going to stitch or finish it. I just really was not feeling it, I guess. So I went ahead and decided to fully finish it into a drum. I absolutely love it. I know a lot of you guys were disappointed that I didn't pick it up and complete it, but I feel like when I do, I need to make a lot of changes to it, and I just was not ready to do that yet. So we're finishing it this way made me very happy. I love having it out. Yeah, it just makes me really happy just to finally have, you know, the 2 blocks that I finished done and on a drum so that I can enjoy it, or in a drum so that I can enjoy it. Okay, next is Olga's Autumn Tart, I believe. This one I stitched it when I kind of got back into cross stitching. It's not perfect. The finish is not perfect. It's the first time I ever attempted to finish anything into a circle. It is mounted onto this pedestal that I painted and distressed orange. I got the pedestal, I believe, either at Hobby Lobby or at Michael's. So I've had this one done for several years now. I did stitch it with a DMC, and I think I might have stitched it either on a 32 count or a 28 count, and I stitched it 2/2. So I had this one out. It sits across the room. I wish there was kind of a better way to display it, but it's usually like this. Next year I might try to find a way where I can kind of wedge it in somewhere, and then that way it can sit like this. Or maybe think about doing a different finish for it as the years go by. Who knows? All right, the next is the Reverend Gourdon Squashbottom by Notforgotten Farms. So I stitched this one last year. Yvette and I stitched this one. And I loved working on him. He was so much fun. I stitched it on a piece of 36 count Creek Bed Brown by R&R Reproductions, and I stitched it with the called for DMC 1/2. And he hangs up down the hall. I will probably leave him up all the way through Thanksgiving. But he hangs up down the hall. He hangs above a candle sconce that I have. And I love when I walk down the hallway, I see him there, and he's just such a fun piece. I also have his wife, and I would like to stitch her at some point within the next few years. But I love him. This particular frame, I did buy it from the Rusty Roof on Etsy. And then I finished him on, I believe, 3 pieces of batting. He was laced onto mat board and then placed in the frame. So I love him, love him, love him, love him. Okay, and then this one here, this is Halloween by Jardin Privé. I stitched it on 32 count vintage country mocha with DMC 2/2. So this one here, when I was stitching the skeleton, he reminds me of Burt Reynolds. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about, but I refer to this piece as Burt. It took me 20 minutes to find what the name of the chart was, and it's just Halloween. So I stitched this one several years back. I did mount it onto, I believe there are 2 pieces of mat board. The mat board that he is attached to, there is batting, so I think I used 2 layers of batting. I did lace him onto the mat board, and then this wood piece I got from Michael's in the unfinished wood section, painted it, and then added some flowers and fall leaves that I already had on hand. So a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I love this one a lot. And I've had it out the last couple of years. It kind of moves around different places in the house, but every time I see it, I always call it Burt. Okay, and then I have, which I didn't, so what I did was everything I knew I was going to show today. I kind of went back and I tried to find the information about it, linen, what I stitched it on, what I used. Which I'm glad that I started keeping track of that on Instagram. So that's a great source for me just to pop back and kind of go through everything. This little one, I kind of forgot all about it. I stitched this one for my husband. So it's been in our bedroom. As soon as I got it out, I put it in the bedroom. And he left it here before he went grocery shopping. So this is called Booby by Hindsight. And I think I stitched it on a 32 count that I did tea coffee dye, and I stitched it with the called for DMC, and I believe I stitched it 2/2. So this frame here came from Michael's. You can still get it. It comes in black, gray, white, and I want to say maybe blue or red. So I just finished it into this little frame. Just gave it a little gingham bow. Sometimes I think about refinishing this one, but it's one that he really likes, so he would have to tell me if he wants me to finish it a different way. If I remember correctly, the beads might have come with the chart. if I remember. It's been so long ago that I stitched it, but I feel like that is what I remember. My husband was actually the one that bought me the chart, because he was, I think he was looking for my birthday or something like that, and he came across it and liked the fact that it said booby. And he's the one that bought it for me, and I'm pretty positive it came with the beads. But here is a little close-up of it. So that one is really cute, and I believe you can still get it. Every once in a while I see it pop up on Instagram. All right, I did a quick parameter check to make sure I had got all of the Halloween finishes, new finishes, old finishes to show in today's video, and I got them all. The ones that are remaining on the wall are more catered towards Thanksgiving, autumn, so I will show those in my next video. But this video has an actual giveaway with prizes today. And again, I am so very sorry that I messed up in my last video. So really quickly, so last time the giveaway question was, what is your favorite dish that you would bring to a harvest themed party? And I had said that I would bring my microwave caramel corn. A lot of you guys commented that you used to make it years ago, that you've misplaced the recipe, and you were wondering if I could share it with you. So I did a quick Google search to locate it online, and I found it on allrecipes.com, and it's called microwave caramel recipe, and I will put a link to it down below. But if you're watching on your TV, again, it's allrecipes.com, and it's microwave caramel recipe, and you have to make sure that it's the one that you cook it in a paper bag, because that's the recipe that I use. Still haven't made it, but I'm hoping to, because I've been hungry for it ever since I talked about it. Okay, so before I show the giveaway prizes, there are 6 of them today, and I'm holding my hand on it so I don't forget. 6 prizes up for grabs, and what you would need to do is, I would love if you would be a subscriber, like the video, and of course answer the question down below. So let me show you what the prizes are so I don't forget to show them. Okay, number 1 is Autumn Love by Lori Holt, and this is a stitch along. I don't remember when it started, but I have seen it ongoing. Number 2 is Frosty Typeface series. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 2. Number 3 is a quilt pattern by Crystal Stahl of It's So Emma called Desert Daybreak. So if you're interested in this one, it's number 3. Number 4 is also another quilt pattern called Ivy and Fern, again by Crystal Stahl. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 4. Number 5 is a quilt pattern, again by Crystal Stahl, called Painted Meadow Quilt Pattern. So if you're interested in this one, it is number 5. And number 6 is Gingham on the Go 3-piece project bag set from the Fat Hoarder shop. So if you are interested in this one, it is number 6. Okay, for the giveaway question, I decided to change it from what I had asked in the last video, just so that there's no confusion. But I always hear a lot of people talking about pumpkin spice everything, you know, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin this and that and the other. And then I have a lot of people who say they hate it. So I'm really curious. Do you love pumpkin spice or do you not? I'm really curious. So answer it down below whether you like pumpkin spice or not. And in my next video, I will announce the winners. And thank you so much for playing. So glad I actually showed the giveaway prizes today. And hopefully it makes its way into the video. Anyway, again, thank you so much for playing. Once again, I am sorry for the confusion in my last video. Hopefully that will never happen again. And in my next video, I will announce the winners. You guys know I'm going to be super paranoid about giveaways from here on out. And if I forgot, don't forget to indicate which ones that you're interested in, 1 through 6, somewhere in your question or somewhere in your answer. Okay, so as far as all the cross stitching goes, that is all I have to show and share in today's video. I am going to show some Halloween quilts next. So if that's not something you're interested in seeing, this is a great stopping off point. When next we meet, it will be November, and I will have a whole batch of brand new stuff to share. I love getting out new decorations and seeing everything that I had previously finished, so I'm really excited to share all of that with you guys. Hope you have a great couple of weeks, and thank you so much for stopping by today. But now, let's talk about quilts. Okay, full confession, I didn't really do any quilting for myself over the past 2 weeks. I did work on my Wendy Pickett's blocks, but I am super irritated with that quilt right now. I had been going along making blocks, and I decided to do a count, and the last time I showed it, I thought I only needed 10 blocks. So last week I made 4, and I decided to go ahead and recount, and I still needed 10 blocks. So I'm thinking I must have misplaced the ones I had showed in my video. I looked everywhere. I don't think I misplaced them. I think I just miscounted. So I've made 6. So I made 4 last week and then 2 this week. And I have 4 cut, ready to be assembled, but I didn't bring it out. I'm so irritated with it, and I've made myself buckle down and finish it, so hopefully I will have it to show in my next video. Either that or I'm gonna burn the blocks. I'm so irritated with it. I know I shouldn't say that, but I just want it to be done. Okay, so I have pulled a couple of Halloween quilts to show today. I unfortunately did not go and look at any of the information on them, because I know that back when I worked on these, I did not keep track of any of that information. This one I do know, I do remember a little bit about it. So it is by Crabapple Hill Studios, and let me just move my chair out of the way. And I will just keep it out of the way because I have all of these other quilts to show too. So this is Witches of the Salem Quilt Guild by Crabapple Hill Studios. So this is one that I hand embroidered, and the witches are colored with color crayon that you then go and heat set with an iron. So it is huge, and I did enter it into the state fair the year that I finished it, but it did not win. Or maybe it did win. Maybe it came in like 3rd place, but I had a huge stack of ballots that people had. So it had won People's Choice a couple of times during the 14 days. And I had a huge stack of the ballots that people had voted on, and all of them like left me all these messages saying I had been robbed and the quilt show was rigged and I should have won. And it was just really funny. I didn't expect to win, quite honestly, but I like that so many people were advocating for me. So when you buy the pattern, it comes in 3 different panels. So I believe you have to buy 4 patterns. There's the 3 panels, and then there's the finishing of the quilt. So this is the 2nd panel. So all the witches are at their quilt show. And in some of the blocks that you make, you do like a little ghost. There's like little things that you add to. I made it out of all the scraps of all the quilts that I have ever made quilting wise. And a lot of them came from the Farmer's Wife quilt that I had made in Halloween fabrics. Hang on a second, we're just having a little, there we go. And this is the 3rd panel, and again there is another hand embroidered little block in that Dresden plate, and that's what it looks like. So this one was a lot of fun. It took me, so when I started working on it, I started at the beginning of the year because I had got the patterns for my birthday. And I went into like overdrive because I wanted to get it done by the beginning of July so it could go to the county fair and then the state fair in August. I remember I finished the final block the middle of June, and then I had to cut and make all the blocks and assemble it. So that took me a little bit of time. The fabric is this vintage Halloween fabric that a friend had given me, which was perfect for the quilt. So love this one. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure I could probably go in way more depth on the quilt, but we would be here all day long. Next step is, and again, I apologize that I just gotta kind of squeeze in this little space to show you these quilts. Next one is Mr. Chillingsworth, which I had totally forgotten the name of him until last year when somebody was able to track him down. So it is called Mr. Chillingsworth. It's just a panel, or when I got it, it was just a panel. There's been different series that have come out where he's doing different stuff. There's a wife, and I think she's kind of dressed like a pirate. But I have the original Mr. Chillingsworth. So again, I just use stuff, fabric from my stash to assemble it. This was a quilt pattern that somebody had put on their blog. It was like a freebie. And so I really liked how it looked. You can get pretty fancy with this panel, but I didn't. So that is what he looks like. Hopefully you guys can see him okay. So I love him. I had this idea where I would get him finished, and then that summer I would take him everywhere we went, but I didn't get him done in time. But it was going to be kind of like the Flat Stanley. I was going to do Mr. Chillingsworth's adventures and take pictures of him all over the place, but it didn't end up happening. Okay, so this one here is a disappearing 9 patch, which is really easy to do. You just put, I believe it's 9 squares together, and then you cut it and flip it and cut it, and then you put them together. It's really easy. If you Google disappearing 9 patch, there's all sorts of free tutorials. But it's really simple to put together, very satisfying. I believe I used a charm pack. I can't think what her name was. I want to say Sandy Gervais, but I don't think that's right. Maybe Bunny Hill Designs. One of those two. This was a charm pack from her fabric line. So, a lot of fun. This one is either just a lap blanket, or not a lap blanket, a lap quilt, or I have used it as a table, whatchamacallit, tablecloth. All right, and so this one, I usually will have this one up Halloween and then into autumn because it kind of works for both. The fabrics that I used are from Fig Tree, and she had come out with a line of fabrics. I want to say Farmhouse. It was either Farmhouse or Farmhouse 2, but that is where these fabrics came from. The pattern that I used, it was from a book by Sherry Falls. It was actually a Christmas book, one of the first ones that she had ever done, and she did a quilt along that had started in August or September. And she was doing it as, instead of it being a Christmas quilt, she was doing it as an autumn themed quilt. And so that is what I made. The quilt that is in the book is a little bit different than this one, so she just tweaked a few things. But I think she ran it on her blog, I think, or it could possibly have been on Instagram. This one was done it was like 2015, I think, when I did this one. So I don't really remember too many of the details about it. But here it is. It is a humongous quilt. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get the whole thing in, but basically the block just repeats itself. So that is what it looks like. Right. And again, you can find a very similar quilt in, I want to say it was the very first Christmas quilt book that she did, but it's Sherry Falls of this and that patterns. So lots of fun. So those are the only Halloween quilts that I have out this year. There are several that I didn't get out and they're still packed away. I do kind of like to rotate them a little bit. There are some that come out every single year, Hocus Pocusville, and then the Witches of the Salem Quilt Guild. Those two always come out. And then all the other ones I do rotate. And I do have some more autumn Thanksgiving quilts that I will show in my next video. So anyway, love having all of those quilts out. I am going to miss them. I can kind of remember working on them, and I can't believe it's been as long as it has since I put them together. It's been a couple of years since I've even really put together a Halloween quilt. I have one in progress that I need to get back to at some point, and then I have a kit that my husband bought me that he is constantly asking me about when I'm gonna make it, and I just tell him someday soon. Anyway, so I don't have any of my own like quilt blocks, no block bonanza, none of that. I do have them, but I haven't started on them. The last 2 weeks, I feel like I focused more on cross stitching than I did on quilting. So this weekend, my plan is to work on windy pickets. I have to get it done. I have to get it done. I need to get it done. Otherwise it's going to end up going in a bin forgotten. And I definitely don't want that because it will be perfect hanging out here during Thanksgiving. So, and even into the winter too, because I don't have a whole lot of quilts that hang on my quilt rack that are like my aesthetic. So I need to start working on some of those. But as far as everything goes, that is all I have to show and share in today's video. If you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really hoping the video went okay. As I was doing it, I was sending the different segments to my Google Drive, so I'm hoping they uploaded okay. And I'm just glad I didn't forget to do the giveaway again. That's just gonna haunt me forever. The plan, of course, is to be back in 2 weeks with my 100th Flosstube video, which is so exciting. Can't believe I've done 100 Flosstube videos. And all year long, that has been my #1 goal. So that's why some of the videos when I came and I was sick, I did it anyway. And you guys are like, you should have just taken it off. Come back in 2 weeks. And it's because I had this main goal, 100 videos. So next time in November, I will have my 100th Flosstube video. And I'm just so excited. So lots to show you next time. I can't wait. But in the meantime, I do hope you have a very happy Halloween, if you celebrate it. But again, the plan is to be back in 2 weeks. So I hope you have a great couple of weeks, that you get lots of stitching done. If you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I am Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page, which is called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. And I will put all of that information down below, as well as the information as I know it for everything that I showed in today's video. And I did keep notes, except on the quilts. But I will put all of what I know about them, I will put all of that information down below if you are curious. Otherwise, I will see you later. Bye-bye.